In this chapter, you're going to learn how to describe HTML, XHTML, and HTML5. The original language of the internet was HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Later it evolved across between XML and HTML, and they called it XHTML. The newest standard is now HTML5. So we're going to learn how to identify the markup language on a web page. You're going to learn how to use the tags HTML, head, body, title, and meta elements to code a template for a web page. We're going to configure the body of the web page with headings, paragraphs, line breaks, divs, lists, and block quotes, and we'll see examples of these as we go through these slides and in the next part that I'll do for this. You're going to configure text with phrase elements. We're going to configure a web page using the new HTML5 standards of header, nav, main, and footer elements. So this is going to divide your page up. Usually at the top of a web page you have a header, and that's usually consistent across all the pages for that website. Then you have a navigational area that allows you to move to one page to the next within that website, or maybe to pages outside that website. Then you have the main area of the web page that contains the information on the page, and then usually the page ends with footer elements at the bottom of a page. We'll also learn how to configure some special characters that display them on a web page. We use an anchor element to link from page to page, and we'll see how we have two different kind of links. One that links to a page on our website, and another that links to a page on another website, by creating absolute or relative links. And then we'll learn how to do an email hyperlink so that people can email you responses to forums or contact you, or for anything that you need people to contact you with. We'll code, save, and display a web page document. And then we're going to test that web page. I'll show you a special website that you use to make sure you have the valid syntax and everything is correct before we start, before you publish that web page, so make sure it's correct. So what is HTML? It stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It's a set of markup symbols or code placed in a file intended to display on the web browser page. And this use of HTML allows pages to be displayed regardless of the computer that the user is using. So whether they're using a Windows-based system, or an Apple system, or a Linux-based system, all the pages will hopefully display the same, even though not all the time all web browsers display the same thing the same way. And there's a World Wide Web consortium that sets the standard for HTML and all its related languages for the web. Each markup code represents an HTML element, and we'll learn a bunch of them. Each element has a purpose. It defines what that thing does, and they're usually coded in pairs. And the only difference between the opening tag and the closing tag is that before the tag itself, but inside the angular brackets, we put a slash in front of the closing tag, and we'll see that in a second. And all tags are enclosed in angular brackets. So they use the left and the graded and symbol as the brackets for it. HTML5 is the newest version. It's supported by modern browsers like Safari, Google Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, or Opera, among others. It's intended to be backwards compatible so that earlier web browsers can still display it reasonably. It may not be able to work in all cases, but it'll work most of the time. It adds some new elements to it, and we saw some of those earlier, and we'll see some new ones later. It adds new functionality to HTML so that more things can be done. The first thing that we look at is the document type definition. It identifies the version of HTML contained in your document. That way browsers know how to interpret that particular document, and it's placed at the top of the web page. So this is the older version for XHTML if you're using that exclusively. It's this long thing here. They shorten it up a lot in HTML5, and that they have an exclamation mark followed by doc type in all uppercase. And then we follow that with the HTML. So here's an example of a web page. So this is the doc type. Here's HTML. Now notice all the way at the bottom of the file they have the slash, and that's what I was talking about earlier, followed by HTML. So this is the closing tag for this opening tag here. This tag, HTML lang equals EN, which means the language for this file is English, as opposed to, you know, French, German, or Chinese, or any other languages that we can encode in. Notice it does not have a closing tag with it. Here we have a head tag. This is where we define the title for the page and the meta tag that I had you look up in the previous assignment. And here's the closing for the head. Alright, so here's the slash in the head. So this is the header portion. In the header portion we have a title. This title goes on the page in your browser in that little tab at the top. So as you open up multiple windows and you have tags, whatever you put in title will display here. Alright, so you can put the name of the article, you can put the name of the website, and various other things for the title, but you should always title each page that you create for a website. Then we have the body, and notice here's the closed body tag, and then we're going to look at later on some more text and more HTML5 tags that go here. So as I said earlier, this is the head and this is the body. Alright, so here's an example of a full page. Here's a doc type. Remember, it starts out doc type HTML. Here's the closing tag. We tell it that it's the language is English. We define the header section here. We have the title, my first HTML5 web page, and there's the closed title. Now one thing you have to realize with HTML is it's free format. I could put each one of these words on a separate line and it would still render the same. And notice that this title and this tag, when that page is open, that's the title that's displayed in that particular tab. So it has my first HTML5 web page. And then we tell it what character set to use, and we use UTF-8, and this allows us to define any character symbol for any language on the web. So this particular encoding scheme will allow us to define any character that we need to. Here's the end and the body. All we have is hello world. Alright, now if I would take world and put it on the second line, when the page would display, it would still show us hello world. Right, and we'll see how we make paragraph tags later and how to break things. So this is the first portion of this presentation. I'm going to break it up into part 2 because I'm limited to 10 minutes on YouTube.